all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me, as always, is our brilliant bestie. Say hi, brilliant bestie.
Hi, brilliant bestie. As always, look at us. A podcast who we make. Look at this.
I changed it finally for you so that it was no longer the confusing which one of us is an interviewer. You are just brilliant bestie, and we can
I
move
love that,
from
because
there.
guess what? The world is never going to know who's interviewing whom. Two snakes eating their own tails next to each other.
Oh gosh, Vic.
Jordan.
Well, before we get into the levels of congratulations that are deserved to be heaped upon you this week, I just have one question. How are Jellicle adoptions going?
Oh my God, I love that sketch. I legitimately do love that sketch. You think you're going to get me? You're not going to get me on that one. That was one of my favorite sketches I ever did. I literally just sat on set and talked musical theater, which is one of my favorite things to do with Grant O'Brien, because I'm good with musical theater and musical theater stuff in a room full of people that know nothing or very little about musical theater. And then the second I get in there with anybody with any knowledge, I'm just like, tell me everything. What do I need to know?
Yeah, we were talking about Zach and Jess right before the show started. Zach Reno, not Zach Oyama, not to be confused with who we're going to be diving into in depth momentarily. But I imagine they have a pretty hefty musical theater knowledge base plunking around in their brains.
Never seen a show.
Of theirs or any
Ever.
Musical theater?
They've never seen it. I can't say that. That was a joke.
Yeah,
I can't say that and then have somebody think that that's actually true. They're very, very knowledgeable, and they're brilliant and they're wonderful.
Yeah. And maybe, who knows, obviously you can't say yet, but potential season 2 guests for very important people. That's right, gang. Very important people. Unsurprising to anyone, but still very exciting to break the news yesterday. Picked up for season 2.
Jordon Brown original scoop. Look at that.
Yeah.
Come on. Huge.
How you feeling?
I feel great. I feel wonderful about it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that people enjoyed it and that Dropouts, obviously happy with it. I mean, the people at Dropout have always been so wonderful and so supportive, but also too, with the machine of a company, you just also never know with stuff like that. And I was just so thrilled top to bottom that people were liking it and it was doing well and that we're getting to do it again.
Yeah, I did have a moment of panic yesterday when I posted the clip because I tagged Tamar and I was like, oh, what if they didn't invite her back for season 2? What a true nightmare this would be.
Couldn't have done it without her. Literally everything you see visually in that show is Tamar. So for whatever reason, they were like, oh, we're doing it, but not with Tamar. It just wouldn't be the same show. It would have to, I think, be rebranded as a completely different show.
She messaged me immediately to be like, thank you so much. I'm so excited. I'm so excited the news is out. And I was like, oh, thank God. Ooh, didn't burn that bridge. All of my Dropout bridges are burned when I announced season 2 and Tamar didn't know because she's been cut out. Yeah. But yeah, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really feel like we made this happen together.
Absolutely not. But
you getting the word out there, I think, was important too. So I think it was sort of a team effort, and you're on the team now.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Hey, I have been genuinely pushing to be part of the team in a conference form. I
love that that's where you see your slot and you're like, that's how I'm going to get in is via conferences.
Look, I'm not a strong enough improviser to come be on the show.
No, but you're a literal reporter now, and you have a badge on Reddit, you were saying. I think that this is huge. This is official. But I know nothing about are they called conferences? Would that be what they would be called? Mm-hmm. Festivals?
Yeah, I mean cons and festivals. Yeah,
cons and fests. I know nothing about cons and fests, and so this is very exciting. I'm going to my first fest this upcoming weekend, and that's the first time. That's going to be my first experience with it.
Yeah, if you're in Austin, Texas, and you have a South by Southwest badge already, or are willing to drop quite a bit of money on one.
Quite a bit of
you
money.
Can see Vic at 2 shows over next weekend.
Yeah, have they been announced yet? Have I been announced yet? No, I don't think so. But we're announcing it here, and I feel comfortable with that. Because honestly, it's happening next weekend, and so I feel good. I feel good about that.
Yeah, I say Oh man, I got really lucky. So I saw Improv for Humans last year. So in the devastating news, this is the first year in so long that I'm not going to be at South by. But last year I got to see Improv for Humans, and Jess McKenna was on the show, and I was standing outside waiting to be let into the theater when she walked up. And thank God I was so tired that it took my brain a minute to register who it was, because I audibly squealed when I realized who it was, but she was so far up the ramp that she didn't hear me. And I was like, oh, that would have been a nightmare of just
Oh, Jordan, she's very
imagine walking
nice.
up and seeing a row of people and one person locks eyes with you and goes, oh, like just like a terror. Anyway,
No, she's so nice.
She's great.
She's so wonderful. That is, I love that story. That's great.
Yeah. And she's fantastic. She's so good on the show.
Funniest person on the planet, her and Zach.
Yeah. Do you have any? I mean, like, obviously, like, I'm sure you're still in very early stages of VIP2. Any like called shots you want to throw out of like dream guests that you can go grab?
Oh, Barbara Walters.
Great, I love it. I wildly have a connection to Barbara. I could maybe introduce.
Do you really?
How
fun would that be, putting Barbara Walters in like a kitty cat wig and like, yeah, like really, really dressing her up only to have her be completely herself, no improv at all, just doing a regular interview.
No idea what the show is, so confused the whole time.
How do you know Barbara Walters?
Someone I work with is the Barbara Walters chair for something.
We could make it happen.
So, in theory, could make it happen.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. And so listen, the circle's getting smaller and smaller. The circle being the world, smaller and smaller. Okay, all right. So my dream is coming true, is what I'm hearing by that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I've never spoken to her. She doesn't know I exist, but I will ask my coworker.
To put she doesn't know you exist yet.
Yeah. Like, how would you like to do a comedy show for
She's gonna love it.
Of people?
She's gonna love it. She's gonna love it. It's gonna be perfect, and she's gonna love it. Season 2, I really don't know. Like, it's because it is the type of thing of like, I just like, there's so many people that I can think would be incredible in this. I usually am like, it's also this like tricky, tough thing of like, I truly think that like I have in the circle. What am I saying? Do you know sometimes when you just start talking and it's just like I have a thought and it's there and I can see it. I'm walking towards it and I'm just thinking, if I can give myself enough ramp, I'm gonna approach the thought, and then it's gonna come tumbling out, and then it's just not happening. How many times can I start this sentence, do you think? It's just like, listen, if you think about
45 minutes. You go.
I got a lot of, like, I feel like I'm surrounded by so many funny people, and all of them would be so spectacular, from like the Dropout family, and then also just like by nature of being in LA, like the UCB Groundlings family, and then also just like, a lot of creators out here that just would do so wonderfully on the show. I don't know how they're going to pick who's on season 2, and I am happy I'm not the one making that final decision, because I would just be like, we're doing 140 episodes.
Look, no one would be upset. So I got to break the news yesterday.
Yes.
I posted on the Reddit with my Dropout reporter.
What is it called? Badge?
Flare.
Yeah. Flare. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was called Flare, and then I was like, that can't be right. And so then I did backtrack. Congratulations. How long have you had that?
Like a week.
Baby.
One of the mods reached out and was like, hey, I give like the actual cast like Flare so that people know this is really iffy doing an AMA, because it's like Dropout cast or whatever on it. And he's like, do you want one that says Dropout reporter? And I was like, yeah, more than anything.
Do you want $4,000? I don't know. Is that something you'd be interested in?
I posted. So I posted, like that, and I was like, "Who do you want to see in like the next season?" Because one of the tricks to the internet is you get people commenting, it drives up engagement, and then
Sure.
like you get more eyeballs on it, et cetera, et cetera. And first of all, so many people so excited to see people that are going to be in the next 6 episodes. So many people are like, oh man, Ross would be great. I'm like, yep, great news for you then.
Well, it's like, it is twofold. That's very exciting to hear for me. One, because it's just like, oh, we're teeing ourselves up for success here if that's the case, because then it's an easy way to just like be hitting balls, hitting
balls. That's the expression. There you go.
Getting some balls hit. It's the perfect way for that. But also too, it is nice. It is nice. What was I gonna say? Also, it's nice because we know that people are going to be excited about the future episodes. And then,
yes.
Oh no, Jordon, what is going on? Not a single tech issue in sight. It's the tech issue is up here.
Yeah, I'm loving the energy.
Can I tell you, I woke up 7 minutes before this interview.
Incredible. I appreciate you waking up 7 minutes before the interview.
I was so excited. And my alarm, it said chat with Jordon is what the alarm setting is for the one that goes off at 9:50. I don't know if it was a surprise that we do this at 10.
We do have a set time. Someone recently was, I'll fill the space for you. Someone was like, you should like have like a standing time with Vic. And I was like, we do already. Great news. Done.
What's the other reason I would be excited about that? I did have a very strong second reason.
Part of it is my fault because I phrased it, VIP will be returning for season 2, assuming that everyone knows there are 12 episodes and we're only halfway through season 1. So some people were like, wait, is it over? And I was like, oh, no. I get why you think that from the way I worded it. You're not as deep in the paint about VIP as I am. But yeah, so many people. Rashawn, Ross. Yes. Oh, go.
No. Keep going. I got it locked.
A bunch of people really want to see what Allie Beardsley can bring to the table. And I was like, dang, great news.
Yeah.
You're going to be so excited.
It is nice too, because like some of the episodes coming up, like it's like the past. It's like some of the things that people liked about some of the past characters, but also it's just like, totally different characters. So I hope people are that love them as much as we do. Okay. Other thing is, I think like something that because especially this first season, like I saw like the trailer along with everybody else and the character reveals, and I was a little fearful. The show is not about the reveals. The show is about like the process of putting on the makeup, and the show is about the improv afterwards. And there's enough there that even if you've seen the characters, oftentimes I think it's like leads into some of the excitement. But I was glad to see, because I know that some of the comments on that were like, oh, I wish that was like a surprise, or like, oh, I wish that I didn't know like what was coming up and things like that. But it's nice to know that like people have like jumped on board even since the trailer dropped.
Yeah.
Again, the smallest of thoughts. Was it that important that I derailed this conversation for a solid 6 minutes in order to get to that? No, not even a little bit. Jordon, that's kind of you. But it wasn't. Are you here for you, or are you opposite?
No, you got it right. I'm going to point to you now. Great.
No,
someone
that's wrong.
Made me flip my camera. Well, it's right for me. And so like my camera is no longer flipped on my end, which I hate because I'm looking at my face like it's not in a mirror. And I hate that so much. And I can't figure out how to flip it back. And it also
Why would somebody recommend that to you?
I
sort of
don't
as like
know.
A nightmare? A social experiment?
Because like when it like produces the like final output, it's the correct. Like you'd be able to read "Keep Boston Weird" on my shirt, whether it's flipped or not. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah. So anyway, truly a nightmare for me. I hate my face so much right now because it's not the right face, right? Like it's not the reflection. It's what I look like in like what other people see me as, which is also.
Can I tell you?
We don't have time to unpack all of that.
We do have time, because I have one thing that I have to tell you about, which is a nightmare of mine. Is that I walk into a room, and this does happen sometimes, where something is just slightly different. And then you spend all day being like, what is different? Something has changed. And I don't totally know what it is. And then you walk around and you're like, a book has a dust jacket off of it that didn't have a dust jacket off of it before. How long has it been like that? Who did that? Why would somebody do that? Just to torture me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
or maybe they weren't thinking about me at all.
No, they were always.
That's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. the Reddit thread, one of the other very fun. So this is back to what actually turns out to be a great segue into another thing that happened. Your 6-minute divergence is that someone was like, Brennan. I was like, great news. He's coming.
Oh,
And
yes.
someone was like, oh, that's great. I'm really excited for him. And I was like, even better news. And this may be news to you, actually. He's the finale episode. Sam told me that.
News to me, Jordan. I watched the whole clip that you posted. Of course I knew this. I am
Okay.
supportive. You
I
posted
didn't
the
know if
clip
that
and I
was
said,
in.
I'm gonna watch the whole clip. I'm gonna support. We're getting views up. We're driving traffic. Here we go. I'm all
Yeah.
in, baby.
But so, yeah, all right. Well, I didn't remember if that part made it into the clip because there's like an hour of footage. A lot of it is me talking to Sam about how brilliant you are. And
Jordan!
There's nothing you can do about that. And obviously him agreeing with me. But yeah, so like I posted like Brennan's the finale, and per Sam, we get more like of Vic's character than we've ever than in any episode. Like it's the host Vic of like we get the most host Vic reveals, and like that's really really fun. And someone commented, "Spoiler tag, please." And like then they got downvoted a bunch, which made me feel good because I was like, I don't feel like that's a spoiler.
Is that the hierarchy of Reddit? I don't spend much time on Reddit.
Reddit's a nightmare. Don't go.
Well, I have like an account that I've had for a few years that I started at the beginning of the pandemic, and I follow 2 subs.
Don't say which ones they are because people will find you.
Do you think?
Yeah, for sure.
How would people be able to find me just by following, saying the 2 subs? Is that true?
They probably. I don't know if it's true or not.
I think they're bad subs too, is what I'll say. Not bad in content. Well, like not bad in the the content of what it is. That's putting a moral judgment on it, but like not something that societally I think would be perceived as like taboo, but bad in the content of the physical like population. Again, that's putting a judgment, but just sort of like I think it's probably fine to say toxic.
Yeah, it's fair. Horse therapy and
I'll say one of them. It's the Marvel Snap sub, and it is.
I know you're super into the game. Yeah,
it's my favorite game, and I'm bad at it. And so I this was my most recent follow, and I followed because I was like, I need tips. Yeah. I need to know. I need what deck I should be using. I'm doing badly here.
I play Marvel Strike Force. I'm also very bad at it.
What is that?
Don't do it. It's okay. It's one of those like this is so pointless, and there is no reason for it. And I log in 4 to 5 times a day to like get all the hourly rewards, and there's a whole Discord that I'm in that's dedicated to yelling at people about not doing enough. I don't know why I do this. Anyway, eventually someone commented, how does that spoil this for you, to the Brennan person? And then they deleted their comment, and I felt very good about myself. But one of the other things was that Brennan in the 2nd season, they should just fake put prosthetics on him and then put him in an outfit that Izzy picked out for him and just have him come out and he's just in nice clothes.
That's so funny.
It was pretty delightful. There's pretty good like Sam Reich as Dropout America CEO Sam Reich, which obviously like then he's no longer improvising. He's being told the character he's playing. But a lot of fun ideas that were thrown around.
I love that. Okay, I'm gonna go take a look. I'm gonna take a look at the thread.
Don't do it. Well, no, that thread is safe.
That thread I'll take a look at. I'm like, I'll go pop on and I'll grab me a little coffee and I'll sit and I'll read through the thread.
Yeah, that thread is safe. I made a thread about how fantastic you are. And that thread is like 99% safe. And then you know how there's some weird dudes on the internet? They showed up.
Jordan, that's very kind of you. I would curl into myself and pass away reading that, I think.
That just compliments at you. So you didn't check out I think it's at 158 comments on my TikTok video of just like how you're the most brilliant. Straight man isn't the right word, but like
voice of
comic
reason.
foil.
I started reading it and I was like, and I did legitimately send it to my dad. I was like, this is I mean, this is nice, and it's too nice, and I started reading this, and then I just started crying, and I'm like, I'm gonna pass this along to my dad because he loves reading comments. He loves looking through, and he goes, "You told
Mhm.
me not to tell you about the comments. I'm not gonna tell you about the comments." But there's a couple of people that said a couple of things about this episode, and he follows. My dad is his like contribution because he doesn't do any kind of like film or television or acting stuff or anything like that, and so he goes through like IMDb and like all of like the numbers, and he tries to like analyze the videos and stuff like that. It's really, really, honestly, it was like a funny, cute thing he was doing at first, and now I'm kind of like, oh, this is actually kind of helpful. It's kind of helpful insight actually. So I feel like I learned something about myself through this as well.
Yeah, no, that's delightful. Speaking of IMDb,
Dying to know where
you've
this segue is going.
you've been had Celebrity Edition.
Yeah.
God, that was the most uncomfortable 30 minutes I've ever spent in my life.
I told you. Was I talking to you about this? Or is
No,
this
you were
the
not. It's one of the many other podcasts you record. I think I wrote down on one of my questions is, how many podcasts would you say you record in like a given month? It's so
Oh,
many.
that was I Said No Gifts, which is a podcast that I love
Yes.
truly and dearly. And it's also one of those ones where like I found out that every single person that I know in my life I have has some connection to I Said No Gifts,
Mm-hmm.
which was very cool through that. That is, I'm not kidding, like one of the first gigs that I did in LA. And it's one of those things where like I feel like I hit an age. Did you journal or diary or anything like that?
Did not.
No, me either.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I had like a blog that I wrote in, but it was for public thoughts.
Sure, sure,
It's not
sure.
great.
Do you have like something like that that you look back on and it's just that moment of being like, oh, like cringy, and then you kind of like, I
Mhm.
think a lot in comedy, especially like I look back now on like people that wrote childhood diaries or had like things like that that they did in like high school that they can then like share and look back on, and I'm like, oh man, if now in a comedic setting and as an adult and being at an age where I can like look back and kind of appreciate the person that I was then, I'm like, I wish I had something like that. And I'm like, oh baby, I do. I absolutely do. It's You've Been
Hop on
Had
Tubi. It's free to
Celebrity
watch.
Edition.
Yeah. Oh man. I can't imagine there was anything cut out of it because my God, was it
Did they?
painfully
I have
slow.
that episode too. It's painfully slow. Did they keep all the end of it in?
Yeah. Where she like storms out crying and they have to like run after her to be like, hey, no, you're not actually under arrest. It was all a bit. Ha 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 ha. I thought you'd know because I was British. And it's like, doesn't mean you can't be a cop.
Ever met a British cop?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was like on the day I remember being like, do I quit? Do I quit? If is this what it is? Because if this is what it is, I think I need to quit. And I need to do something else, and I need to come up with a new plan.
Yeah. I'll say I didn't watch the full 30 minutes. I skimmed around when you weren't on the screen because I was like, I can't handle the arrows that are pointing and being like, just repeating what someone said, but with like a comical arrow and sound effect that pops up. You made me chuckle once, which was a high like bar to clear because my God, was it uncomfortable.
That's very kind. And they were in our ears the entire time, and we're just like, say this, go walk over. Okay, you're working at the shop, so go clean that, but clean closer to them and clean closer to them, and then and try and have a conversation. And I'm just like, so truly after that they hired actors for the rest of it, and I don't think I signed anything, and even if I did, I feel fine saying that spilling the beans on You've Been Had Celebrity Edition. It was like a couple of UCB folks. Like I had met a couple of people that way. Like I think I got that through a casting blast that they had sent out. Like I don't know.
Yeah, they needed improvisers. That makes sense. That they would want someone with a strong improv background to be like pretending whatever this nightmare is. It's one of the things that makes me question my own sexuality because straight people love pranks so much. And every time I see them, I'm like, they're just so mean. And then I'm like, wait, am I not straight? Because I hate this with every ounce of my being.
They are predicated on just being like, let's make this person look like the stupidest person on the planet
Yeah.
for earnestly trying to give the people around them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And like, oh man. It just like, and also like it's one thing if
Is
you're
that a
pranking a
straight people
celebrity.
thing with pranks? I think
Yeah.
you're right. Because what
Yeah.
is it? They've got Crank Yankers, but that was one was on Comedy Central. That one was with puppets, right?
Yes, that was puppets prank calling people.
Gotcha. That seems fun, if I'm being honest. But like
Yeah.
what is the other one? The one that
It
people
was like
love.
punked and
Impractical Jokers is what I'm thinking
Impractical
of.
Jokers. Yeah. A lot of like very mean things to people. And also like TikTok periodically will pop up into my feed of like, here's a prank that I played on my wife. And it's just like the meanest thing imaginable. I'm like, I don't like this. Please go away forever.
Yeah, I like that is so funny that is such a huge brand of humor. It's just like, I hate my wife. Let's let her know a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, I watched that episode. I skimmed through two
Jordan, I'm
episodes
really
trying to
sorry.
find
I
you.
feel like I owe
And then
you
I watched.
money.
Nah, it was fun. It was fun to find it. On much more happy topics.
Sure.
Zach Oyama. Good God.
Oh baby.
What?
I love that. I truly love that episode. That was I think we talked about that. It was the last day of shooting too, and it was just kind of a and Zach also is one of those improvisers where I think he's got like for me because we perform together quite a bit and he's got like one of the highest like joke per laugh ratios for me personally. We have a very similar sense of humor, I think.
Yeah. It's like I made a video about it. I think you saw it, but like it was like because we have to talk about so much, but it was like he genuinely was lost in Tommy Shriggly, because military made him laugh after he answered it, like he was surprised by the answer himself. Like he like fully Tommy answered that question, and then Zach started to laugh after.
1000%. It was like when what is it? What is that saying? It's when an immovable object meets
An unstoppable
an
force.
unstoppable force, and I was just there kind of watching it. You know what I mean? I was just sort of sitting there experiencing it. I was watching that happen inside of one person, and that was something that was it really like God, yeah, because it truly was. It was sort of like the Nana, where it was just sort of like, and honestly, Josh's character too, where it really was like Zach came in and went, and he sort of came up for air afterwards, and there was just like a couple of those moments, like I could not stop laughing.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a big in character laugher. But there's like a few people that really can get me to giggle. And this was one of those.
Zach Oyama, clearly one of them. Yeah, I obviously like the two big breaks. I turned $100,000 into $16,000 and military. I'm assuming military, the second one, was the one where it was like a full 5-minute break on set where you couldn't stop laughing.
It was one of those things where it was so fast and like you said, kind of took both of us by surprise because we also just like, obviously we shoot for an hour. And so we had been talking about the military for even longer than got cut out. And so the fact and that how, like he wasn't allowed back and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And so then for that to be we usually shoot those questions at the end, and so like to have like had that conversation for like 20 minutes at the beginning and then to have all this other stuff had happened and then for that to be it was a perfect third beat for that. It was I mean just it was a perfect joke. It was a perfect joke.
I saw someone who was like, I was crying, laughing before I realized what I could like cognitively realize what Zach had said. I was already laughing so hard at it. A perfect like insert. Oh man, someone wanted to know like how you can smile without looking like you're smiling. Because the picture of like "Please stand by" of you like holding a vase or whatever, just has like the most pained expression on your face.
So
But
it's smiling. It's if you were just to do like a regular face and then you keep your eyes the same and then you just smile with your mouth.
perfect. Yeah, perfect. No notes.
Somebody
Um,
that hasn't actually done my thought for this character really for host pick is I was just like I think that this is a person that was told they have to smile more to be on camera and they probably spent hours in the mirror looking them to be like this is the smile, something that sort of says I'm a reporter and I'm serious and I take this seriously but also is warm and inviting, and that to me is this character's interpretation of that
oh,
feeling.
God, it's so good. Both cutaways so good. Just
Thank
uh,
you,
I
Jordan.
I'm genuinely like near tears thinking about it. Because I've only had it in my brain for like a week. How long have you had? Come on, everybody, give me a little clap. Stuck in
A
your mind?
really long time.
Yeah.
And it also is one of those things where sometimes I was like, I can't express to you how far this character broke me. And I was just like, oh man, I was so excited to see the episode and I was like, I really hope it plays. And it was one of those things where like I went back and watched the episode and I was cry laughing again watching it. Which is
Yeah.
maybe embarrassing to admit, but I'm like,
No.
I like Zach's, it just came through so well in film also, like
N-
everything Zach was doing, it really was just incredible. I
Out
mean,
the gate
so funny.
with they're wearing masks. Such an energy to bring just like immediately to the table. So good. Instantly just like adversarial for no reason.
Yes, it also
Um,
too is like, it is the beauty of having guests on that I feel so um lucky to be not only like work with people that are so funny but also just like in my personal life get to improvise with people that are I mean like truly just make me laugh so hard. And so like between like Jacob and Zach and on the season we got Allie coming up too, I just like it's people that I am so deeply comfortable improvising with that it's just like that is a moment that of course would happen with other people as well, but like again it's like that is also somebody where like I'm so comfortable improvising uh with Zach, and Zach knows me as an improviser so well that those moments I think really translate and really play.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Just but so I want to give you credit as well.
Don't.
Because
No more
it's
credit. I can't.
it's incredible. Two things specifically in the episode. One, the phenomenal joke. We don't throw things at PAs anymore. We can't throw things at PAs anymore. Ooh, mwah,
Thank you
so
so much.
good. The anymore just like so subtle, so brilliant, but also I mean in line with the coffee chug and leaning in for a kiss with Dr. Milk, going back for a second dousing of protein powder, just like because that's why it's you're not just the voice of reason there, because you have fully leaned into the chaos of the thing that's across from you, and
True.
it's perfect.
True.
Vic, you are perfect at this.
I'm gonna melt.
Anyway,
I'm gonna melt
do
away
you? All right, I will. I'll move on.
down the storm
How
drain.
long?
And guess what? Things
How
aren't absorbing into the ground in California, so that's gonna be a problem. Somebody's gonna have to come clean me up.
how long until you stopped tasting protein powder? Like 3, 4
Mm.
days, or
I mean,
still to this
here
day?
was the issue is that like going into it, I decided I was going to do a second one, and then I didn't know that eating raw protein powder, it was just gonna start cementing. It was literally gonna start turning into a solid.
Mm-hmm.
So I got, I would say, a cup. And it was like in my eyes and in my nose and in my mouth, and it was literally turning into a cylinder. And part of what it was literally every single time I tried to say something, just a little bit of, of like a poof of powder would come out. And so I like my eyes were starting to cement shut. My airways were physically starting to close. It was in my ears. It was in, because again, this was the last episode. So like we knew going into it, that we like had a little bit of room to, play with some of this stuff. So like, I mean, like it was in every like crevice of my costume. How long was protein powder in my mouth for? I mean, it felt like forever. It truly felt like forever. I think somebody flew in just like a little like thing to clean our mouths with going after a little while, because again, it was just like it was, I would say, worse five minutes after we did it
Yeah.
versus even just the minute afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I mean, visually striking. The puffs of like, I do feel better. So good. But just like your bottom row of teeth that were just like, like chocolate brown, just like, and not, it's just, oh, so upsetting.
Pirates of the Caribbean teeth.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, someone was like, it's the cinnamon challenge, and Vic chose to do it a second time. It's so good. And yeah, I love that you were able to at least mostly hold it together through that.
That's kind of you to say. I don't know that that is true. I think that is you being kind. I that episode especially, like I look at and I'm looking at every single frame, and I am truly, I feel like fighting for my life in that one from like pretty
Look,
much the jump. I can
from
see
pre-jump, because you posted a picture of you going into the green room to say hi to Zach, and you got to see Tommy before Zach had seen him. And I believe Zach Oyama described it as you walked in, couldn't form words, and walked out.
Yeah, I I did. So like they had told me he was going to be up there. They were like, you can go grab your phone, but you can't say anything. Like you can go in there, but like, blank face, get out. And I was like, amazing. And so, because normally that's what I like to do when people are in makeup, but also like with block shooting, just to go and say hi. And just like, chit chat a little bit if there's time for it. And so I walked upstairs and I saw Zach sitting down, and I think I said excuse me at first because I didn't recognize him and I thought
Yeah.
somebody else was sitting in there. And Zach just goes, "Hey, Vic." And I take a second and I just sort of stare at him. And then I leave the room. And then I come back and I collect myself. I'm like sitting on the stairs weeping. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, you could do this. Just go get your phone, go say hi, and then leave. And I think I just walked in, I took the photo, and I left. I don't think I said a single word, if I could guess.
Yeah, incredible. I can't like. So I'm part of a new podcast called the Dropout Drop In, where we recap like things that happened on Dropout over the past week.
Whoa! That's so cool.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, at
Is
some
this
point
your
someone was like,
podcast?
I'm a co-host. Someone
Great.
else is like really steering the ship, which is great for me. Because I can just show up and be like, "Hey, what's up? I have thoughts."
I'm
And
not the best.
yeah, my favorite vibe. But we had talked about like this. So we record on Monday. So this previous Monday, we decided we weren't going to talk about Tommy Shriggly yet because we wanted to both. I wanted to get your insights, but also we want to see the last looks tomorrow because it's so important for everything that he becomes as to like what Alex and team were thinking of truly the monstrosity that he was.
I thought it was so cool having the opportunity to see Zach play a character like this, because I think on stage I feel like I do get to see him play like some like fun, silly, wacky characters a lot, which is like, I mean, just like such a strength of his. And I really think that like side of him as an improviser, like he really tapped into on stage, and it really just is like so magical. He's so good at it. He's just so, I mean, like, he's one of the most talented people in the world, and he's so unbelievably funny in this. I'm so happy that it's like across the board. I feel like that's what I keep coming back to is I'm like, I mean, I've said this to you before. I think my friends are just like the funniest people on the planet, and getting to see that echoed back through other people as well, and to see them like get appreciated is just is such a gift. It's so magical. I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm just so glad that other people get to see like what a very small select few of people get to see if you have access to like coming to live shows in Los Angeles, you know?
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things specifically about this episode is we got like dropout people get to see Zach in much more the comedy sniper role of like I'm waiting back and I'm hitting the perfect moment and like devastatingly funny. But a lot of times don't get to see how big and broad he can also do. And I love that the makeup team forced him into that of like, no, we know how talented you are in like the goofiest, silliest way, and we are going to demand that you perform that for us.
I think so. As we sort of were looking at, I got to see a little bit of like pairing characters with people a little bit, and I think like there was some movement maybe for some other characters, but I'm pretty sure off the board they were like, this is gonna be Zach. I'm pretty sure this one has to be Zach.
Oh man, I love how many people were like, because I also didn't recognize him until he spoke, and then you're like, oh, okay, I got it. But yeah, like in the trailer, the first poster came out, and I think his picture may have been on it. Whatever, I saw a picture of him at some point, or maybe in the trailer, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And then it was like Zach Oyama, and I was like, oh, I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, I mean, just like I cannot stress how talented Alex and everybody on that team were. Like, unbelievable. Like, he and Allie and Iffy are like the big ones that really, really stand out. Is just like, I mean, those complete transformations really are just incredible. I mean, all of the subtle stuff is amazing too, like Josh, like getting the acne on and stuff like that. But I mean, those huge transformations and in the time in which they did them is just incredible. I can't wait for Last Looks this week because again, I wasn't getting to see a ton of these transformations either, especially later in the day. So I'm so excited to see this one come together.
Yeah, it's God, just magic. Yeah, I have my DMs sent out to Alex right now to be like, all right, let's talk, because I've been waiting for Tommy, because that was the one I wanted to hear the most about.
Totally. And it's a good mid-season point too, I think, for this too. And you've gotten, I think, well, I mean, everybody's got like, obviously pretty incredible transformations, but I think like now you've got a bulk at least of those like the big transformations.
And I mean, we've seen who else is coming, and spoilers beware.
Spoilers beware. Spoiler tag.
Yeah, spoiler tag this. Excited for Oscar and Giovanni. Excited for Ross and Rashawn. Excited for Izzy. Excited for Brennan. Excited for BDG. I think I nailed all 6. Yeah, great. Look at me. Hey,
look at you. Come on. They don't call you the unofficial dropout reporter for nothing.
Yeah, like I'm getting scoops from Sam Reich for a reason. It was very fun getting to talk to him.
What was going into that interview? What was your mindset? Were you nervous? No, come on.
Yeah, cool. Because like I'm terrified. I'm not terrified before most of these interviews. I'm very nervous before most of these interviews. Yours no longer so, but the first one very nervous for.
Well, I sent you a really mean email before.
Yeah, you've been very cruel.
My writer.
Yeah. I will only record if there is a 7-second delay between what you say. Yeah.
And thank you for making that happen.
Yeah. But yeah, I was super nervous. And like, I probably have I shown you what my notes look like? Because they're unhinged.
Oh, I love that. No, that I would call that a list.
Yeah, but like sometimes like I've got like, why Zach? Look, timing, exhaustion. It's specifically talking about like why he specifically broke you. Is that in
case somebody steals your notebook? That way they can't become the unofficial dropout reporter?
I guess so. I don't know why I do this. But yeah, talking to Sam, one of the things that Sam said to me was basically that like that he was nervous about the interview. That might be paraphrasing a little bit, but because most times he does interviews, it's with like general entertainment reporters, not someone like me who he said the word gastronauts and I was like, that's a new show that you haven't mentioned before. Like it's like I have that level of Dropout knowledge that like I could get seriously deep on like any specific thing that he says. So but I didn't push him on anything. I was very proud of myself because I was like, I'm not going to ask him what gastronauts is. I'm not going to ask him if pissing out cancer is one of the Dropout percents. Like, yeah, please. You want to spoil it for everyone?
No, yeah. I won't.
I know you won't. You can't. Who's to say?
I won't, I can't, and I wouldn't. And who's to say?
That's right. Yeah.
That was a trick. That was a trick for you, actually. And so that was a prank. That was a prank that I did.
Yeah. I knew you weren't going to say what it was.
What if I did? What if that was my new thing as I sort of Tom Holland myself of like the Dropout universe?
This Dropout cinematic universe of just like, you want to know everything? Here it is. Yeah, burn that bridge. No, of course I would. First of all, I would cut it out of our interview. I would edit around it because I would not allow you.
And then I would put out a public call of saying, put in the edits.
I'm gonna make just like a hard edit right here. And then pretend like I've edited something out.
Jordon, no.
I won't actually do that. It would take so much more work than just like deleting the 3 sentences off the beginning and hitting export. I sometimes have to. Periodically, I'll
There's
have
like
to like someone will be like, hey, someone will reach out to be like, hey, I said something that kind of sounded weird. Could you like cut that? And I'm like, yeah, of course.
I don't think I've ever thought to do that. That actually is so smart. That actually is really, really smart. I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket. It never even occurred to me that you could do that. I feel like sometimes I said stuff and I'm like, well, I told 4 of my sister's secrets on that podcast, and
I talked a lot about a pastor who should be in jail on that podcast.
No, that I stand by. I think that I did in that interview. I did have a thought where, because I don't know if it made the edit, where one of my family members who loves direct sales.
Yes, that made the edit.
Great, perfect.
Yeah. I kept it vague enough that, like, I mean,
did the relation?
I think so.
Make the edit? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That one, I was like, I
mean, who's listening to?
I stand by it. I stand by
it. And also, like, come on, they're not gonna. I
also think
a comedy podcast.
I think I have, because I've got a lot of siblings. I know you're an only child, but I have. Was that a secret? We can edit that out. Cut that part out. Cut that part out. Now there's a hard cut. But I got a lot of siblings, and our love language really is just sort of yelling at each other. That's sort of how we deal with things and how we communicate, is sort of like, lovingly shouting, I think, for the most part. I mean, like, it's like good communication, but it is done in, I would say, an energetic fashion. And so
it's super helpful for me to hear that kind of thing, because I DM, and so like I have to play siblings a lot. And it's something that I've actually talked to Abria about, of like the challenge of playing a sibling when you have none. Abria is also an only child. And
whoa, do you find it difficult?
It's somewhat. I mean, it's not that it's difficult. It is like a thought process, though, of like, okay, what is a sibling relationship like? Like, I hope that I am portraying what, this person that is, I'm the sibling of, like, makes sense to them. So far, it's been good with everyone that I've ever had to portray. But yeah, it is something that's kind of strange to think about.
Well, I mean, that really is it too. Is like, and I mean, like, siblings, like, there's like no right or wrong way to have that relationship either, right? And so if it is really distance, or it's like, oh, whatever, like that, there's plenty of relationships like that too. I love that. No, man, that's awesome. Are you working on a campaign right now? Are you doing it for like online stuff, or are you doing it in IRL, in real life?
Just in real life. Look, there's enough actual plays out there. I don't have any like unique enough hook that I'm like, no, you should listen to my friends pretend to be characters. So yeah,
Oh no, please go ahead.
I was going to be a compliment to you, so go ahead.
I legitimately do think too that like, because there's like a in general with like recording stuff and doing like any kind of like play for performance, I think like the most, for 99% of the time, the most fun you'll ever have again is just like doing shit with your friends, like, in a living room, or like, I mean, like the hardest I've ever laughed is like doing like Herald practice, you know what I mean? Like that type of stuff, just doing rehearsals and things like that. And I mean, like, I know again, as we're all turning into these tiny little companies, that need to have the brand objectives and things like that, it's like hard to just be like, I'm just doing this because it's fun and it's for myself, and it helps like fill me up as a person. So I think that actually what you're doing is radical and important.
Thank you. I read your Substack interview. I know what you're talking about. Look,
I gotta say, Jordan,
you're putting
I
out
read
content,
that interview.
I'm consuming it.
Thank you. You and my dad, this is huge for me. I have to say, I went back and I reread that interview and I was like, I think I can't read these anymore, because the way in which I speak does not translate into a written format, I think.
I thought it read well. Disagree. Here's what I will say, as someone who's spoken to you quite a bit. I think they did some generous edits for how the ends of your sentences sometimes are.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely. I did end a lot of those questions with, I don't know, does that work? What do you think about that? What was the question? I did spend a lot of time asking if she could repeat the question. Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna say that's fair. Edit that out.
Yeah.
I feel like that is very fair. I think that's fair.
Speaking of fantastic roasts, your episode, Sam Says 3, next Monday night.
Is that true?
Live to Dropout, a 45-minute cut.
Oh baby, I didn't realize it was happening next week.
Not next week, but like a week from Monday. Because next week will be the behind the scenes Newlyweb. Yeah.
Man, I loved that. Alexis, I think, is just like one of the funniest people on the planet. I loved the Newlyweb episode.
So good.
I really
so
hope
like
she's
wholesome and fun,
stuff.
and yeah. I told Sam this, and I'll tell you as well. My wife and I were playing along with the things that we could, like play along with,
and
so like, we were okay. Like, my wife correctly guessed my top app that I use, TikTok, not to the surprise of anyone. And then didn't get that it was Instagram and Spotify were my 2 and 3. But I looked on my TikTok time usage, and for a week it was 24.5 hours, and I feel like that might be too much TikTok.
No, if you feel good about that, I feel good about that for you.
Yeah.
I support you. If you're happy with that, then I'm happy with that for you, and I love that.
The thought process that I had here was that Sam Says roast me was the transition. I'm assuming you need to go, which is obviously fine. The Great Debate, do you want to explain it? Plug it? Does it matter?
Yes, I would love to explain it.
Yes.
I don't totally understand it, if I'm being honest. It looked like a lot of fun. All my friends were doing it, and I said, absolutely, because I'm very good friends with Angela, who does a bunch of Smosh stuff. And then obviously Grant and Giovanni, I love. And I think Chance is doing it too, right?
I think so.
Yes, and I know Chance from UCB stuff. I mean, just like a group of like such unbelievably funny people, and I'm so excited to get to perform with them. And everything I've heard about Tin Cambras has been overwhelmingly. My good friend Gabe, who does a bunch of stuff over there, was like, "Oh, you're doing the debate. That's so exciting. What is it? I don't know. We're gonna find out together, and I can't wait."
Great. I'm so excited for you. If you need any help with debate prep, I am in fact a fantastic high school debater. That is the only trophy I kept. I was 13th in the nation.
Can we have a segment next time where we practice debating? I would actually love that.
Absolutely.
That would be very helpful, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, with the NFL, the National Forensic League.
Is that what it's called?
That's what it's called, the National
Legally, is it
Forensic
allowed
League.
to be called that?
I think they were around before the National Football League, and I think they probably have a few more lawyers in their back pocket, based on not money, but lawyers for sure who've come out of debate. Anyway, Vic, as always, the most fun in the world.
Jordon, what a blast and what a pleasure, and thank you once again for having me. Getting more and more seamless.
Yeah,
Less and less technical
we're getting
difficulties.
better.
We're going to need to rename the podcast, I think.
We are, yeah. All right, that's it. Bye.